There comes a moment in life when you suddenly feel it. A quiet panic inside your chest. A sense that time is slipping through your fingers faster than you can hold it. Maybe you've felt it too. You look at the clock. You look at your age. You think about dreams you haven't started, habits you haven't fixed, and years that disappeared without warning. You wonder, how did so much time pass while I was barely living? Despite all the clocks around us, phones buzzing, alarms ringing, calendars overflowing, we still feel lost, rushed, constantly behind. But centuries ago in Japan, there lived warriors who understood time in a way we have forgotten. They didn't need clocks. They didn't measure minutes. They didn't chase the day. They commanded it. Their power wasn't speed or talent or luck. It was presence, purpose, and an inner stillness so sharp it could cut through chaos. And today, you will learn that forgotten system, the hidden clock of a samurai's mind, so you can stop watching life pass you by and start living like your time actually belongs to you. Before we go deeper, I want you to pause for a moment and be honest with yourself. Ask this one question. Where does most of my time disappear, and why does it hurt? Your answer matters, not just for the algorithm, but because thousands of people reading the comments will see themselves in your words. You might help someone realize they're not alone in their struggle. And if you're ready to master discipline, sharpen your focus, and rebuild your life through ancient Japanese wisdom, then subscribe to Discipline Dojo. This isn't just a channel, it's a path. And no warrior should walk that path alone. Now breathe, and step with me into a world where time wasn't measured. It was respected, where every moment had weight, and every breath had purpose. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Warrior Who Always Felt Behind. Before you understand the samurai way of time, you must meet the man who almost died because of it. His name was Haruto, a young samurai trainee known for his speed, strength, and sharp instincts. Everyone believed he would rise quickly. But Haruto carried a quiet secret. He always felt late. Not late in the literal sense. Late in life. Late compared to others. Late compared to where he thought he should be by now. And maybe you felt that too. That strange heaviness in your chest when you see others progressing, while you feel stuck in the same place. That pressure that whispers, "You're behind. You're behind. You're behind." Haruto lived with that voice every day. No matter how fast he trained, how early he woke up, how hard he pushed. He felt like time slipped through his fingers the moment he tried to hold it. During sword drills, he rushed. Not because he wanted to, but because he feared being slower than the others. During meditation, he fidgeted. Not because he lacked discipline, but because stillness made him aware of how much time was passing. During chores, he cut corners just to finish quicker. Not because he was lazy, but because he believed finishing fast meant he was finally catching up. He believed speed meant discipline. He believed pressure meant progress. He believed the warrior who moved fastest would win the battle. But deep inside, he knew the truth. He wasn't fast. He was afraid. Afraid of wasting time. Afraid of falling behind. Afraid of not becoming the warrior he dreamed of. And this fear didn't just live in his mind. It lived in his body. He woke with tension in his chest. His heartbeat raced whenever he thought of the future. His hands trembled when he made mistakes. His breath shortened when others outperformed him. He didn't fear the battlefield. He feared the ticking of an invisible clock inside him. One day, after failing 3 tasks in a row because of rushing, his master finally asked, "Haruto, why do you hurry?" Haruto lowered his head. "Master, I feel like I never have enough time." There was silence, a long, heavy silence that felt like the world itself had stopped moving. The master studied him quietly, then replied with a sentence Haruto would never forget. A sentence that could break or heal any human heart. A man who chases time will always lose it. Haruto didn't understand. Not yet. But the lesson was coming, and it would change everything. Chapter 2. The Monk Who Could See Time Without Seeing Clocks. Haruto's master sent him to a nearby mountain temple, telling him he must learn from a monk known as Sogen, a man whispered about in villages, a man people claimed could see time, even with his eyes closed. Haruto expected an old man with mystical powers, someone who spoke in riddles and carried ancient scrolls. But when he arrived, the first thing he noticed was silence. Not the empty, uncomfortable silence of waiting, but a deep, living silence, as if the mountain itself was breathing with the monks. There were no bells to mark the hour, no hourglasses, no candles burning in measured time. And yet the monks moved as one. They woke at the exact moment the sky shifted from black to blue. They trained when the earth felt awake beneath their feet. They cooked when the air was warm, cleaned when the light was soft, and meditated when the world outside grew loud. Haruto watched them in awe and confusion. How did they know? How do they act so perfectly without ever being told the time? After hours of observing, his impatience finally broke through. He approached the quiet monk sweeping leaves near the temple gate. "How do you know when to do things?" Haruto asked. Sogen lifted his head slowly, eyes calm like a still pond. "Because time is not something we look at," he said softly. "It is something we feel." Haruto frowned. To him, time was numbers, schedules, alarms, things he constantly checked but never seemed to control. "How can time be felt?" he asked. Sogen didn't explain. He simply pointed into the forest. "Listen," he said. Haruto closed his eyes reluctantly. "The wind moves differently at dawn," Sogen continued. "The birds sing differently at noon. The shadows fall differently in the evening. The breath becomes heavier at night." Haruto opened his eyes slowly. Sogen stepped closer and placed a hand over Haruto's chest. "And the mind," he whispered. "The mind knows when it is time to act, and when it is time to be still." Haruto felt his heartbeat beneath the monk's hand. Fast, unsteady, rushed. He realized, for the first time, that his entire life had been spent reacting to clocks, not responding to the moment. The monks weren't living by hours. They were living by alignment, by breath, by nature, by rhythm, by presence. Time didn't push them. They moved with it. Haruto felt something soften inside him, an old tension loosening, a new awareness forming. But Sogen wasn't finished. "There is a deeper lesson," the monk said, his voice quiet but heavy with meaning. "A warrior who cannot feel time will always fight at the wrong moment." Haruto swallowed. He didn't understand fully, but he could feel the truth sinking in. The temple wasn't going to teach him to track time. It was going to teach him to sense it. Chapter 3. The Secret of Japan's 6 Warrior Hours. Sogen brought Haruto to a quiet garden tucked behind the temple, a place where the air felt still, where even the birds seemed to lower their voices in respect. The soil was soft, the bamboo tall, and the world moved slowly here, as if time itself sat down to rest. Sogen knelt and picked up a small wooden stick. Samurai did not divide the day into 24 hours, he explained. They divided it into 6 periods of purpose. He drew 6 circles on the ground, each one perfectly spaced, each one simple yet symbolic. Haruto leaned closer. "These are not hours," Sogen said. "These are states of mind." Each circle represented more than time. It represented identity, intention, and discipline. He pointed to the first one. 1. The hour of awakening. The mind prepares for the day, not rushing, not reacting, but arriving fully into existence. Then the second. 2. The hour of movement, training and action. This was when warriors sharpened the body so the mind would follow. Then the third. 3. The hour of service chores, duty, responsibility. Samurai believed serving their environment strengthened their character. The fourth. 4. The hour of reflection. Stillness, meditation, breathing. A time to unclutter the mind, to clear the dust from the spirit. The fifth. 5. The hour of mastery. Studying, improving, refining skills. This was where a samurai built a lifetime of excellence, one quiet hour at a time. And finally, 6. The hour of release, letting go before sleep. A warrior ended the day with nothing held tightly. No regret, no worry, no leftover tension. Haruto stared at the circles, feeling something inside him tighten, and then soften. "So, the samurai didn't measure time by minutes?" he asked. Sogen shook his head gently. "They measured time by intention." He continued, voice dropping into a deeper calm. "When you know the purpose of each part of your day, you never feel lost. You never feel behind. You always know exactly who you must be in each moment." Haruto felt a warmth spread through his chest, a seed of understanding, a sense of structure he had been missing his entire life. He realized something painful and honest. His life had been a blur, not because he lacked time, but because he lacked direction inside that time. The circles in the dirt felt like a map he had been searching for without knowing it. But the monk wasn't finished. Sogen looked up at the sky and whispered, "Purpose is the true clock of a warrior. When you move with purpose, time does not control you. You control it." Haruto closed his eyes for a moment, letting the truth settle into him like water sinking into thirsty soil. For the first time in years, time didn't feel like an enemy. It felt like a companion. Chapter 4. The truth about why modern people lose time. Sogen asked Haruto, "Why do you feel like you never have enough time?" Haruto lowered his gaze. The question cut deeper than he expected. He thought of mornings where he woke already anxious, afternoons where he rushed through tasks without remembering what he did, nights where he lay in bed replaying mistakes, feeling the crushing pressure of a future he wasn't ready for. After a long breath, he said quietly, "Because everything feels urgent. I'm always rushing." Sogen shook his head slowly, as if Haruto had just given the most common answer in the world. "No," Sogen said. "You feel short on time because you live in the wrong tense." Haruto frowned. "The wrong tense?" Sogen stepped closer, placing both hands behind his back. "Yes," he said softly. "You live in the past when you regret. You live in the future when you worry. But you almost never live in the present. He pointed at Haruto's chest again, his finger pressing gently but firmly, as though trying to wake something sleeping inside him. A warrior loses time not because he moves slowly, Sogen said, but because his mind is everywhere except here. Haruto felt a sting in his chest. He knew Sogen was right. He had spent years trapped between yesterday and tomorrow, never truly inside today. He thought of all the moments he never experienced fully. Training sessions where he only thought about the next drill, conversations where he wasn't listening, meals he barely tasted, sunrises he never looked at, and long days that vanished into a blur of unfinished thoughts. Sogen's voice softened, almost like a father speaking to a wounded child. You cannot master time until you master attention. Haruto swallowed hard. The truth was so simple, yet so painful. His entire life, he believed he needed to move faster, wake earlier, work harder, push more. But none of that mattered if his mind wasn't present inside the moment. Presence, not speed, was the true weapon. Sogen continued. Most people believe time is stolen from them, he said, but time is not stolen. It is lost through distraction. He paused, letting the words sink like stones in a still pond. Your mind jumps from past to future because it fears the stillness of the present. Haruto felt exposed, as if Sogen had reached into his chest and pulled out the truth he had been running from. How do I stay present? He whispered. Sogen smiled gently. First, he said, you must stop fighting the moment you are in. A warrior who rejects the present rejects the only time he can ever control. For the first time in his life, Haruto realized that time wasn't slipping away from him. He was slipping away from time. And that realization hurt more than failure, more than defeat, more than any wound a blade could ever give him. But it was also the beginning of a transformation he never expected. Chapter 5. The Samurai Method of Perfect Timing. Sogen demonstrated a technique once taught only to elite warriors. He picked up a bamboo staff and held it perfectly still. So still that Haruto felt the air around it become heavy, as if the moment itself were holding its breath. Watch, Sogen said. He dropped the staff without warning. Haruto's hand shot forward, snatching it from the air with flawless instinct. His body reacted before his mind had a chance to interfere. Sogen dropped it again, this time with the faintest shift in his wrist, like a breeze changing direction. Haruto missed. The staff hit the floor with a hollow knock that echoed strangely through the quiet temple hall. Sogen's lips curved into a gentle smile. You caught it the first time because you were present. You missed the second time because you were thinking. Haruto felt his cheeks warm with embarrassment, not because he failed, but because the truth struck deeper than the mistake. Thinking had always been his downfall. Overthinking, pre-planning, forecasting the next move, worrying about the outcome before the action even began. Sogen knelt beside the fallen staff. Then he told Haruto the warrior secret. Timing is not speed. Timing is awareness. The words fell into Haruto's heart like a stone into a deep well, simple on the surface, but echoing endlessly into the depths. Sogen continued, a samurai wins not by moving faster than his opponent, but by sensing the exact moment when action becomes effortless. He placed the staff back into Haruto's hand. When you are fully present, Sogen said softly, your mind and body work together. You see opportunities that others miss. Your movements become fluid. You waste no time, because nothing distracts you. Haruto felt something shift inside him, a realization that shook the foundation of how he saw himself. He thought back to every time he rushed through training, every strike he forced, every moment where he panicked because he feared falling behind. He thought speed was the solution, but speed had only made him sloppy. Speed had only made him anxious. Speed had only disconnected him from the moment. Now he understood. He didn't need more hours. He didn't need more energy. He didn't need more pressure. He needed more presence. A presence so sharp that it could cut through hesitation. A presence so steady that the world slowed around him. A presence so clear that time itself felt generous. Haruto closed his fingers around the bamboo staff, feeling the weight of the lesson settle into his bones. He looked at Sogen and whispered, "Master, I think I understand." Sogen shook his head gently. "You do not understand yet," he replied. "But today, you have begun to feel." Chapter 6. How Samurai Never Wasted a Single Moment. Sogen brought Haruto inside the temple just before sunset. The halls were touched by soft amber light, and long shadows stretched across the wooden floors like silent reminders that the day was ending, and that the way you spent each moment mattered. Haruto watched the monks closely. One swept the floor in slow, deliberate strokes. Another arranged simple bowls on a table as if each one carried weight and purpose. A third monk meditated near a window, back straight, breath calm, eyes half closed but deeply aware. Not one of them rushed. Not one of them dragged their feet. Their movements flowed like water, easy, steady, intentional. It was the first time Haruto had witnessed people who seemed to move with time, not against it. "Do you see?" Sogen asked. "They treat every action as sacred. They waste nothing, not food, not energy, not attention, not time." Haruto felt a strange heaviness in his chest. Not sadness, but recognition. He realized how many moments of his own life he had rushed through without ever truly experiencing them. Meals eaten without tasting, conversations half listened to, training done in a hurry, chores completed with irritation. He suddenly understood how the monks managed to live calm, purposeful lives, even without clocks. Every small task was a meditation. Every breath a choice. Every moment a chance to be fully alive. Sogen continued, "The modern world wastes time in two ways, mindless speed and mindless delay." He paused, letting the words settle in Haruto's mind like ink soaking into parchment. "Mindless speed," Sogen explained, "is when you rush so fast that life becomes a blur and nothing is done with depth. Mindless delay," he added, "is when you hesitate so long that life passes while you watch from the sidelines." Haruto lowered his head. He had lived in both extremes, pushing too fast, waiting too long. Sogen handed Haruto a warm cup of tea. "A warrior does neither," he said. "He does every action once, with full attention, so nothing must be repeated." Haruto held the cup gently, feeling the warmth seep through his palms. For the first time in his life, he lifted the cup slowly, tasting the tea as if it were something rare, something precious. And in that simple act, he understood a truth he had never even considered. When you are fully present, even the smallest action feels complete, and time expands around you. Haruto finally understood the core of samurai time discipline: do things completely or not at all. And as he set the cup down, he whispered to himself, I have lived half my life halfway. But that was about to change. Chapter 7. The night the warrior's mind transformed. That night, Haruto sat alone under the moon. The sky above him looked endless, a vast river of silver light flowing across the darkness. The air was cool, brushing gently against his skin, as if the night itself was trying to calm him. For the first time in his life, he wasn't rushing. He wasn't planning the next hour. He wasn't replaying the day. He simply existed. And this frightened him more than he expected, because Haruto had never met himself without noise. He had never sat with silence long enough to hear the truth beneath his thoughts. He pulled his knees close and listened. He listened to the wind whisper through the bamboo, a soft, rhythmic sound that rose and fell like slow breathing. He watched the lantern's flame flicker, its dancing shadow painting the ground with warm, trembling light. He felt the rise and fall of his own breath, heavy at first, then slower, then softer, until it blended with the stillness around him. Something within him began to shift. A small crack opened in the wall he had built from fear, urgency, and self-pressure. And slowly, the noise inside him dissolved. The worries, the comparisons, the imagined futures, the regrets of yesterday, all began melting like frost under sunlight. Then in the quietest moment of the night, Haruto realized something profound. Time feels slow when you are present. Time feels fast when you are absent. He whispered the words softly, as if speaking them too loudly might break the magic of the moment. He thought back to all the days that vanished, days he rushed through, days he barely remembered, days he lived on the edges of, rather than inside of. He finally understood why life had felt so short. He had never been fully alive in the moments he lived. At that moment, Haruto felt like he had more time than ever before. Not because the day was longer, but because he was finally blinded. A warm peace spread through his body. A feeling he had never known. A feeling of enough. Enough time. Enough breath. Enough presence. For once he did not feel behind. For once he did not feel unworthy. For once he did not feel rushed by life. He felt aligned. As the moon continued its slow journey across the sky, Haruto closed his eyes and allowed the night to hold him. In that deep stillness, a truth settled quietly into his heart. A warrior does not control time. A warrior controls his presence within it. And for Haruto, this was the beginning of a different life, one no longer dictated by fear, but guided by awareness. Chapter 8. The Samurai Who Walked Without a Clock. When Haruto returned to his dojo, his master immediately noticed the change. Something was different in the way he walked. Not faster, not slower, but steady, grounded, aligned. Haruto no longer rushed. He no longer panicked. He no longer feared running out of time. Where once he moved like a man chased by invisible deadlines, he now moved like a river. Calm on the surface, but powerful beneath. He trained with steady breath, each strike deliberate, each movement complete, each moment lived fully instead of half-heartedly. He worked with calm intention. Tasks that once overwhelmed him now became opportunities to practice presence. He rested without guilt, a discipline harder for warriors than battle itself. For the first time, he slept deeply, knowing he hadn't wasted the day. He acted without hesitation. No second-guessing, No inner panic, no mental tug-of-war. He became unshakable. Students in the dojo began watching him differently, not with envy or intimidation, but with curiosity. They whispered to one another, "What happened to him? He's different now. He looks calmer, but stronger. He moves like he has more time than everyone else." But Haruto didn't boast. He didn't brag. He didn't explain unless asked, because true mastery is quiet. One day, his master approached him during training and asked, "Haruto, how do you always seem to be on time?" The question carried multiple meanings, and both of them knew it. Haruto smiled. It wasn't the proud smile of victory. It was the gentle smile of someone who has finally stopped fighting himself. "Because I no longer chase time," he replied. "I walk with it." His master bowed his head slightly, a gesture of deep respect. "You have learned the true clock of a warrior," he said. Not measured in seconds, but in purpose, presence, precision, awareness. Haruto felt those words settle into him like roots, deep, steady, unshakable. For years he believed discipline meant speed. For years he believed success meant urgency. For years he believed time was an enemy to outrun. But now he understood. Time was never against him. He was against himself. And by changing the state of his mind, he changed the flow of his life. Haruto had become a new kind of warrior, one who no longer feared time, because he finally understood it. He didn't need clocks. He didn't need alarms. He didn't need reminders. He had become synchronized with something deeper than time. The present moment. The only moment where life actually exists. And as he stood in the dojo, bamboo swaying gently outside, sunlight touching the wooden floor, Haruto realized something. A warrior who walks with time never misses the right moment, because he is always inside it. Now it's your turn. The samurai didn't need clocks, and neither do you. If you want to change your life, you must change the way you move through your day. So here is your 7-day warrior challenge. Day 1 to 2. Identify the moments you rush. Day 3 to 4. Identify the moments you delay. Day 5 to 6. Divide your day into 6 warrior periods. Awakening, movement, service, reflection, mastery, release. Day 7. Live 1 full day with complete presence. Then write in the comments, "I walk with time." Make your commitment real. I read every comment, and you'll be surprised how many people feel the exact same struggle you do. Your words inspire others more than you think. And if this ancient discipline helped you feel something, clarity, purpose, strength, then subscribe to Discipline Dojo. Not for the numbers, but because you deserve a place where your mind grows stronger every single week. Your transformation has already begun. Now step forward. Your time is waiting for you.